Hi, I'm Paul at Diode, and today I'm here to tell you about our newest product, the LED Footwell Kit. This is a multicolor kit, and it uses our newest product, the RGB strips, which use RGB 5050 3-chip SMDs, so they're very bright, as well as a RGB controller and remote so that you can change the color to anything you prefer. This is a full-featured kit that we put together for you, so it includes the wiring harness, connectors, switch, and of course the RGB controller and RGB remote. It's really cool. You can change the color to anything you'd like, and the installation it only takes about 30 to 60 minutes. Today we're going to be installing it on a Hyundai Tiburon, but it's applicable to just about any vehicle out there. All you need is 12 volt power and 12 volt ground and a couple of tools. Let's take a look.
In the kit we have our RGB strips, we have the wiring harness for installation, the quick splices, we have a LED toggle switch, the RGB controller box, and here's the upgraded remote. We also have the standard remote right here as well. For installation we'll be using a drill with a 3/4 inch bit, needle nose pliers, Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, and we might also need a socket wrench set. The first step for any installation is going to be to remove the dash, so we're going to first move our shift knob out of the way for this car and take off the main dash bezel trim piece with our flathead screwdriver. Just going to pull it out of place. Again, this can vary based on your vehicle. This is just for a Hyundai Tiburon, but most vehicles have this same center dash piece. We're just going to pop this out all the way around, usually held on by clips. And then we'll move our shifter back into position and turn the car off. And then we're going to remove the plugs so that we can get this out of the way. Just look for the clips on the back of plugs on your dash pieces. Most of them will just come right out. You just push down on the clip and carefully slide the plug out. We have that out of the way. We're going to go ahead and move on to our head unit removal. This is an aftermarket head unit on this vehicle, but again, most vehicles are generally the same here. Just held on with screws, and you'll just remove this head unit box. And again, after we get it out of here, you just remove the plugs from the back. Again, just carefully unclip any clips holding them in, and then we're going to remove the plugs one at a time. We also need to access this side of the dash where we're going to install our switch on this vehicle. This can vary based on where you're going to put your switch. It might be in the center console, or you can put it next to the steering wheel here. We're going to pop this piece off. And then we're also going to remove the fuse box cover where we're going to put our switch. Before we continue, let's take a look at the wiring harness in the kit. The wiring harness is made up of a main harness as well as a switch wire, which I'll pull out here for you in a second. So we're going to get this open, and this small wire with the black wire, it's going to have a ring connector and a female connector on it. That's your ground wire just for the switch. Your main harness is going to have a white connector like this, and then you can plug it into the box here. That's how it works. That's just your power output, and then you have your plugs for the RGB strips, and then the sensor wire there as well. Also on the main harness, you have the, if you can look for them, the two bare wires here, and these are the ones you're going to splice. The red one is positive, the black one is going to be for ground or negative. And then we also have the two female connectors, and those are going to plug into our switch here. These are going to plug into the silver plugs on the switch. And then for the switch to light up, we're also going to use the ground wire. And that's just for the LED on the switch to light up. We need a ground on it. So we're going to put the ring connector on a ground point on the vehicle, and then this female connector is going to go on the switch on the gold plug, the negative side. So the customer here decided that he wanted to put his switch on the fuse box cover, so we marked a good position for it on a flat surface. And we're going to take our 3/4 inch bit and drill a hole straight through the piece. So with our hole there, we can now put our switch into place. It should just snap right in through that 3/4 inch hole. You want to make sure you put it the right side up, of course. we're back in the vehicle now, and we're on the back of the cigarette lighter. And this is usually a good spot because it's fused. You can easily access it. The first one we're going to do is this red wire for the positive. We're going to connect it to the blue, which is the colored wire coming out of the cigarette lighter. We're going to use one of our red splices here. And as you can see, one end is blocked on one side, and one end is has 2 holes on it. So we're going to put our end wire in that way. And then we're going to put the other side onto our blue wire here to get that positive connection for our kit. So we're going to take the pliers here and just press down on that metal piece in order to complete the splice. Want to make sure that the wires stay fully in the red splice while we're doing this. Don't let it come out at all. So I'm going to hold that red wire in there while I'm splicing. Press all the way down. A little tricky in the tight space here to take a video as well. Okay, just make sure it's all the way down. There we go. And clip it in when you have it all the splice all the way completed. You want to check to make sure that metal is going through the blue wire there to make sure you got the full splice. And then also pull on that red wire a little bit to make sure you got that splice as well. We're going to do the black wire now. So we're going to put it on the black wire on the outside part of the splice, making sure our black wire from the kit is also inserted into the splice. And the same exact procedure. Again, it's always good to use the cigarette lighter. Again, it's easily accessible. You can easily find the positive and negative going into it. The negative is going to be black, the positive is going to be the other wire. There we go, got this splice done as well. Just want to push all the way down on it to make that splice. Okay. And easy as that. Just make sure it's all the way down. If you want to test, pull on that black wire, make sure you got it. Make sure you can see the metal going through it there. And then you want to clip that to make sure that it's insulated. So there we go. We're going to put our LED strips in now. We're starting on the passenger side. The kit will come with adhesive and zip ties. We're just going to use the adhesive on this side because it's just a better mounting. Generally, between the adhesive and the zip ties, you can always find a good way to mount it just up under the dash. First, we're going to run our wires into the main center area of the dash. Usually, just by pushing up in this area, you can find a hole to push the wires through. You might have to move a panel or two, might have to unscrew a panel, but on most cars, it goes right through to the center dash area. So there we go, we can get that through there. Okay, and once you have the wire through, we're going to go ahead and mount the strip. So just remove the adhesive backing on the strip itself. Find your mounting points that are going to be the best place to put the strip. Again, you can use zip ties if you have wires or a place where you can zip tie it up there. The zip ties are always very secure as well. So on this side, we're just going to stick it up into place. Now if you need to cut it, you can. Just every 3 LEDs there's a little mark if it's too long. Make sure it's all stuck up there well, and we're good to go. So now we're over on the driver's side. Again, first thing we're going to do is undo the wiring here and put it into our center console area. So I'm just going to push it up there into place. Okay, on this side, we decided that it would be better to use zip ties since there's a lot of wiring hanging down. You can really attach it to any wires. The strip is very light, so you're not going to really be putting any pressure. Just be sure not to, yank anything out of place while you're actually doing the installation. Other than that, pretty simple. Just get those zip ties up there on either side of the strip, and you should be good. There we go, got one side. Just need to do the other side now. Again, just find a good mounting point really anywhere up here. Got a pretty good one right here I'm going to use. And there we go. Make sure you clean these up as well. Okay, now we're back in the center area. We're going to take the switch wire and just push it through so we can go over to the switch here. I'm going to pull that switch wire down from the center console area. And this is just going to go wherever you have your switch, whether it's in the center. We're just pulling it over here because this is where we're putting our switch. Now we're going to attach our ground wire for the switch. We just need to find any metal bolt on the vehicle for a good ground. So we just need to install our ring connector on that switch wire for any ground on the vehicle. And now we're going to use that switch ground and the two wires. We're going to put them on our switch now. So the wires coming from the harness are going to go onto the two silver plugs on the switch. There we go. 1 and 2. And then the ground wire is going to go on the last one, the gold plug here. So now we can test out the system. First we're going to plug the RGB controller into the power output white wire. And we're going to try out the switch now. Now the kit comes on with cigarette lighter power, so we need to make sure that the car is on the AC position so that the cigarette lighter is getting power. You can see that the switch is on now. If we test it and the red light's always on, all we're going to need to do is first turn off the vehicle, make sure we don't shock ourselves, and switch the wires that are on the silver plugs. So you just might have to do that. You got a 50-50 chance, but all you have to do is switch the wires around. So just don't put it back together until you're sure that you have it together the right way. So there we go. We should be good now. Turn the car back onto AC to see. And there we go. It's on and off. So there we go. Now we can try out the strips and our controller. So first we'll undo the twisty tie around the wires here for the controller. So you see we have 4 outputs for RGB strips. If you have the rear kit, you're going to use all 4. We're just going to use 2 right now. You can see there's an arrow on the white wire, and the white plug, and that corresponds to the black wire. So just make sure that black wire is on the arrow side. But however, it might not be correct. So if you need to, if it doesn't turn on right away, just go ahead and unplug it, flip it around, and plug it back in. So you might just have to flip it if it's not correct. But that arrow should be pointing to the black. You want to test it though to be sure. So now we can go ahead and try out our remote for the first time here. You can see it might come on to any real color, but we can try out different colors now. Green, back to blue, try white. Okay, so now we're going to mount this sensor. It's like a TV remote, so this has to be visible somewhere in the vehicle. You can have it poking out somewhere in your dash. This customer wants us to install it in an air vent, which is good because it's accessible, but it's kind of hard to see there. So all we need to do is drill a hole up here. Okay, there we go. So we have, I believe that was a 3/8 or a 1/4 inch, depending how big of a hole you'll need if you want to do it this way. Again, you can mount it anywhere you want, but we're just going to put this sensor up into the vent. So now we can mount our controller box in place with the included adhesive. This is very light, so it can stick really anywhere. We found a good mounting point here on the back part of the vent on this vehicle here. So just you don't have too much room on the sensor, so just make sure it's somewhere accessible for all the strips, as well as the sensor to be visible. Just hold it firmly for a couple seconds, and you're good to go. We're basically done now, so we're just gonna clean up our wiring. We're gonna reuse that twisty tie that came with the kit to take up any extra slack on the strips. gonna wrap it all up and hide it up out of the way. And then we get it back together.